Alright, so we finished with creating, bringing our footage in, and now we're ready to create a timeline. So let's move over to editing. Switch our workspace up here at the top to editing. There we go. Slowly but surely. There we go. Okay, great. We'll hit our project panel. So now we're in our project panel. For some reason I have an extra project open. Let's close that out. With the newer features now with Creative Cloud, you can have multiple projects open, which can be really handy. Okay, so in our project panel, let's go ahead and create a new sequence. How can we do that? We can right click, say new item, sequence. That's one way of creating a sequence. Now we're going to create this again, AVCHD. These are all different file formats or codecs. We want AVCHD. We're going to shoot 1080. We're shooting 1080 frames of full HD, 1920 by 1080. And then we're going to shoot at the 24 frames a second. So let's take a look. We're going to shoot 1080p, 23.976, which is also 24 frames a second. It's full 1080p. Perfect. We want that. And we're going to give our sequence a name. We're going to call this how to. And then click OK. That's one way of creating a sequence. I'm going to close this out for a second. How else can we create a timeline or a sequence? Well, let's go into our footage. Well, we can actually first come down here to the bottom where it says new item. So we're in our project panel, right? And we're going to come down to new item, click that, new sequence. We can create a new sequence, same window, right? We can create a new sequence that way. Well, how else can we create a sequence? There's one more way. We can go to our footage, watch this. Oh, let me close that out, let's do it this way. So if I go to my list view, this is a little bit easier this way. Go into my footage, camera 1, okay? Grab that clip. And I'm going to go ahead and bring that clip over into my timeline. Just like that. It's 1920 by 1080. If I go to sequence settings, it says it's RE Cinema 23.976, 1920 by 1080. So we'd have to make some changes here to AVC HD. There we go. Close that out. Yeah, that's fine. There we go. Okay. Like, why would I not do that? Well, let me show you. If I find an image here, let's see if I can find an image. Okay. Why would I not do that? Well, let me grab a photo. If I brought a photo in, right? Drag it over, just like I did on my video. There we go. So I just brought a photo in. Sometimes I've seen people do this where they bring a photo in. That's our sequence. Well, look what happened. If I go to my sequence settings, it just created a timeline that's 400 by 374 pixels. Okay, that's really, really small. Nowhere close to 1920 by 1080. So if we were to play this on a TV, it would be extremely blurry. So we would definitely not do that. I don't recommend creating a sequence that way. Can you do it? Yes. Do I recommend it? No. So we're going to stick to either right-click, new item, sequence, or down here at the bottom, new item, sequence. Okay, so now we've created our sequence. And alright, so let's go ahead and bring in our footage. I'm just going to bring in camera 1, drop it onto track 1. Camera 2, drop it onto track 2. Camera 3, and drop it onto camera 3. Camera 3. So I've got 3 cameras. Boom, boom, boom. And before we go, there is one other thing I would like to show you. Importing. Now I showed you how to import in the last video, simply by going through assembly, right, and going through the media browser. So once I get back to assembly, okay, so last video I showed you how to bring footage in by going to assembly and bring it into our project panel. Another way to bring footage into your project besides going through the media browser is simply to right click. You can go two different ways. Like I said, right click. So if I right click in this empty space and say import, okay, that brings this window up, allows you to navigate to your clip and click open. Okay, other thing, double click in that empty space, does the same thing. Import, select your clip, open. Or you can import folder. Another way, File, Import, Control I. So there you go. You've got File, Import. You've got the hotkey of Control I or Command I there. You've got a double click in the empty space on the project panel. Or you've got right click, Import. And then a fifth way is going through the media browser. So there's 5 different ways of bringing your footage into your project. Now that we've got our sequence all set, let's go ahead and start to create a multicam and start to edit this project.